Do you want more money, more time, and more freedom? I hope so, because that's what this is about. Let me ask you a question. Do you think of yourself as a tradie or as the owner of a trade business? Clearly it's the second one, because you're here talking to or listening to a business coach, but perhaps mentally and emotionally you're somewhere between the two, maybe somewhere on a journey from tradie to business owner. And I'm kind of telling you that's a good journey to be on, because the money is in being the business owner, not being the tradie. Is any of this familiar to you? You run a trade business, of course, or a building business. They are both trade businesses. You've got a crew, you've got plenty of work going on, you're all busy. You particularly work pretty hard, maybe long hours. And yet, where's the fucking money? It's not as good as it should be, is it? You're working more hours than you'd like to be working, and you're kind of winging the business part. You probably wing in the numbers to a greater or lesser extent. That's very common. You might be stuck in the guts of your business more than you'd like to be. That's very common too. And if you're not careful, you feel like the business is running you rather than you running the business. And who wants that? Does that sound like you? Stick around for a bit. I think this goes for 20 minutes or so. And I'm going to explain in this video how ordinary, normal people, ordinary, normal builders and tradies are building proper businesses like the one you want, that gives you time, money and freedom, right? By focusing on doing the business part properly, by learning how to do the business part properly. It's not that hard. You can do it. And giving themselves a better business, one that makes them more money, one that means they can do a 40-hour week instead of working long hours, and take holidays, and kind of, be free, right? Be free from your phone, be free from everybody wanting a piece of you all the time, be free from all that responsibility and all that anxiety about things, right? A business that is nice to run. Do you want that? Then listen up. Now here's some real people, some real stories to get you in the mood. There's Mike. He's a Sparky. He slipped into making no profits, right? And shitty profitability, losing money every month, and turned it around by thinking like a business person and acting like a business person. And he's making consistent 20k profit months, 3 months in a row, right? That's on top of his wage. So we think he's fixed the problem. There's Tom. Tom's a builder. Tom was struggling, dipping into that feast and famine trap that we all hate, right? And he's fixed up his sales process, he's fixed up his pricing, he's fixed up his sales confidence, and he's doing sales enough, and he's fixed that. He made 400k last year. And then there's Tyson. Tyson's a carpenter builder. He was caught in the chaos, right? Couldn't say no, trying to do so many things, doing everything for everybody, trying to be cheap for everybody, and having a shit time. And he's charging properly, he's taken control, he's got job management in place. And he sent me a text not long ago saying, just on my first 500k month, John, and I made 10% net on that. So they can do it. They're normal people. You can do it too. Why do I care? Well, it's my business, right? It's my business to care. That's my job. And I made it my business to care. I wanted to be a business coach because I thought I would enjoy it, which I do. And I chose to work with tradies and builders because I enjoyed working with them, with you. And I've seen lots of tradies and builders stuck on this shitty treadmill, burnt out and pissed off, saying things like, this is a bit shit. They start out in business thinking, oh, I can do this. I can work for myself. I can keep all that money instead of working for the man and letting him keep all the money. They think they want to do good work. They want to do the right thing by their customers and by their staff and build a business, something they can be proud of. But what happens? Not that necessarily, right? Early starts, late finishes, quoting on the weekend, quoting on the sofa, answering the phone, at all hours, right? To your staff all day long, to your customers all night when they're home from work. All the shitty stuff that we don't like. Chasing money, wondering if you're going to get enough money in time to lodge the bars or pay the wages. All those things, right? That awful sick feeling you get when you're not sure you're going to be able to. It can be a bit shit. Now these are capable, confident people, at least on the job and on the tools. Perhaps not so much capable and competent, or they don't feel capable and competent when they're thinking about business. I've sat with people, right, who are slaving away, working hard and saying or asking, maybe I should just get a job, or should I just go and get a job? Now I think that happens every day, right? I think business people and trades business people chuck it in and go and get a job every day, and it's a valid choice if you're not enjoying it. But I'm also going to say you can fix it up. You can make your business nice. So many people have said to me, John, I'm just a tradie, I don't know business. Or John, I've learned my trade, I'm good at my trade, I'm not really good at business, or I haven't learned business. And I say, well, fair enough, because they don't teach you that at trade school. They don't teach you it in your apprentice, and they don't teach it you once you're qualified either, right? In fact, your boss was probably winging business too. But it's bullshit that you can't learn it, because you can. You don't need to wing it forever. You learned a trade, you can learn business too, right? I know you've got the brains because you learned a trade. It's no more difficult than your trade was. Here's some more bullshit that's holding you back. Things people tell you, or things you tell yourself. Here's one. You need to be on site. You're expected to be on site. Your customer expects you to be on site. That's what they've paid for. If you're not there, they're going to be unhappy. Right? That's bullshit. You don't need to be there. They didn't pay for you to be on site. They paid for an outcome, for a result. How you deliver that result doesn't matter. Right? Whether you're there on site sweating and swinging a hammer or a power tool, or someone else is there sweating and swinging a power tool while you're doing something else, doesn't fucking matter. They need the result. And if you try to be on the tools a lot and run a business, you won't do either of them very well. Right? It's like rubbing your tummy and patting your head at the same time. It's a fucking mess. Right, I can't do it. You see what I mean? Here's another bullshit thing people say. I leave all the money stuff to my accountant or my bookkeeper, or my accountant and my bookkeeper. They kind of take care of all that for me. I've got too much to do. And they even say things like, I know if the money's all right if there's money in the bank. No, those guys are specialists, right? Your accountant is a tax specialist and your bookkeeper's a bookkeeping specialist. That's not the same as understanding and managing the finances of a business. It's only part of the picture. You're responsible for that in your business. And if you leave it to them, you'll get skewed advice focused on tax and compliance, and you'll miss decisions or advice or understanding of the profitability of your business, of your costs, of your margins, of your overheads, right? Those are important things. You need to be on top of those. If you don't know that stuff, it's kind of like driving a car with a blindfold on. Not good, right? You don't know where you're going, you don't know where you've been, you don't know what's going on. Don't do it, please, right? You need to make sure you're on top of all that stuff. Here's another one you tell yourself, right? You need to be available all the time, or things are going to go south. You need to be answering the phone or on the site, or people won't do well. You need to answer the phone to your customer when he rings you after dinner, otherwise he'll be pissed off with you. All those things, right? Also bullshit. That's your fear talking. It's your fear that they'll be upset. They probably won't. And certainly, when your staff are calling you, they're being lazy and relying on you to make decisions or think for them, and leaning on you when they don't have to. And when your customers call, they're just doing what's convenient for them, right? Your job now, you're a leader now, right? You're not a tradie anymore, you're a leader, you're the business owner. Your job is to lead your staff and lead your customers, right? Set boundaries for your customers, lead your staff so they learn to think for themselves instead of always thinking on you, and set boundaries for your customers so they understand that they can't just ring you whenever it's convenient for them. It's like with kids, you've got to teach them to be good adults, you've got to teach your staff to be good staff and your customers to be good customers, if you want them to be those things, of course. You're not a tradie anymore, remember? You're a trade business owner, and you've got to do different stuff. You've got to behave differently. This is what I believe, right? You deserve to grow your business to the size you want, not the size anybody else says is the right size, right? So, 1 million, 2, 5, whatever. You deserve to make a 10% net profit margin on top of a wage, and work only a 40-hour week, and have holidays like a normal person, and work with a nice crew that you like and trust. Right? That's reasonable and not, greedy or stupid. How does that sound? Like something you want? I hope so. No more winging it, no more grind, no more dread, just an enjoyable, profitable business that's good to own and good to work in. Your job isn't to swing a power tool anymore. It's to nurture and feed this business and the people in it so they can find and win and do profitable work that supports everybody there. That's the win, right? The profits. A profitable business is good for everybody in it. That's your job now, making sure that happens, not doing the work itself. Now, maybe the problem is that you haven't made that transition from tradie to trade business owner yet. Right, maybe yet. It's not that you don't work hard enough. I know that's not the thing, right? I know you do work hard. All the people who come to me work hard. The problem is that you're trying to do this, to run a business, without the systems and the structure and the numbers to back you up, to back your business up. You can't fix your margins if you don't know what they are, can you? If you haven't built machines for marketing and for sales dries up sometimes. We don't like that, do we? If you don't have systems, you are needed on site to make sure everything doesn't go wrong, because you haven't built the systems to make sure things go right. If you don't have back office discipline, all sorts of things go wrong. Bills don't get paid, people don't get paid, bills pile up, compliance isn't right, which leaves you at risk, right? All sorts of things go wrong if you don't have that back office work and systems and discipline. If you don't have systems for leading and managing your people, guess what happens to them? They have to guess what you want them to do, don't they? They'll make it up as they go along and hope for the best. You don't want that either. That's your job now. That stuff, right? That's your job now. If you haven't been doing it properly up till now, it's not really your fault. How are you to know? Like I said earlier, they don't teach you business. You've been winging it. However, you know now, because I just told you. The good news is it's doable. You can do it. You can learn business. You can build those systems and that structure that will help you run your business properly and profitably, right? That bring you the money, the time, and the freedom that comes from having a well-run business. These guys did it. I'll start with Mike, the Sparky. He started at 30k a month and he grew his business to 90k a month. We'd increased his prices. He'd built relationships with new builders and built a reputation for doing really good work. He'd grown his team. He'd hired a VA to do the estimating and admin with him and share that load. And he'd implemented Simpro as a job management system to kind of run his business. And things were going real well, until his profit fell through the floor, until his profitability fell through the floor. I actually called him one day and said, "What's going on?" He said he didn't know. He was too busy. Simpro was showing jobs as reasonably profitable, but Xero was showing the business as not profitable. So something wasn't right? And we went digging. I had to say, mate, if the jobs are profitable, where's the fucking money? Because it wasn't there, it wasn't showing in the P&L report. Now it turned out Simpro had the cost of labour incorrect. It was much lower than it really is. So when Mike changed that, the jobs weren't profitable either. So it was definitely in the jobs, it was definitely in the labour. Mike went away to have a bit of a think and an investigate, and he came back a couple of days later and he said, "I figured it out. It's the labour. The labour's blowing out on all the jobs, and it's me. It's my fault." It was an oh fuck moment for him, right? He said he'd been scheduling 4 people to a job where he used to send 2, but they weren't being twice as quick. They were taking, in fact, about the same amount of time. So 4 people isn't more efficient than 2. So the labour was blowing out. So he's fixed it, right? He's fixed his scheduling, he pays a lot more careful attention to his scheduling. He's hiring more tradies, so he's got more time in the office to focus on this shit, because that was a bit of a lesson for him. And in the last 3 months, he's made 20k a month net profit after his wage. So we're pretty confident he's fixed it, because the money's there. So the problem was found, or the solution was found in the numbers, which it usually is. Let's talk about Eddie. Eddie's in waterproofing. He was $2 or $3 million, had a reasonable team, was going all right. Work dried up from his traditional customers, the commercial customers, and he was pissed off. He was losing money. He was cutting some costs, and that awful feeling where he doesn't know what's going on. He was overwhelmed. He was losing money. He was stressing out. And he came to me, and we did a similar thing. We started with the numbers. He was spending some money on ads. He was winning work, getting leads, but not enough. He still had overheads for a $2 and $3 million business, but had a $1 million business. So that he didn't have enough margin coming in from the jobs to cover all those costs. We dug into the numbers. We always dig into the numbers. We started looking for costs to cut, right? Obviously, there weren't enough to cut. On the surface, gross margin looked okay. It was running at 30%, we thought. His job management system, Fergus, was showing jobs reasonably profitable. So we had to dig deeper. Cost of labour was wrong. It often is. That's a different story. So we fixed that. Now the jobs weren't showing as profitable, but that wasn't the end of it. His efficiency, or his utilization of his tradies, was very low. There was a lot more travel time between jobs and a lot less charged time in the jobs than was in his estimating. So I had to go and fix that up. I had to go and fix his allowances up, and his allowances for travel time, and his allowances for the time taken, and his costs of labour. So he put his prices up by something like 30 and 40% with no pushback. That change in the type of work he'd been getting from big commercial jobs to smaller construction jobs had thrown everything out of whack, and his pricing system hadn't kept up. So he's changed that. He's put his prices up. He's doubled down on his sales efforts, and last month he did 170,000 with a $50,000 profit in the month, net profit in the month. So we're pleased with last month. He's got to keep the pressure on though, right? It's not over yet. 1 month does not happy business make. He needs to keep this going. Last one, Clint, bricklayer, runs a bricklaying business. He was doing okay, busy, winning work. The money was all right. It was up and down, profitability. He himself was working very long hours, trying to do everything himself, bricklaying, laying bricks and blocks, project managing, doing his bookkeeping, doing his invoicing, doing payroll, doing everything, and not enjoying it. His wife thought she was single, he said. So he dug in, right? He outsourced the bookkeeping. He got a virtual assistant to help him with the admin and all that. He got Arrowflow in to help him with job management, or a scorer, never sure. And it took control, right? He's now mostly off the tools, so he's doing sales and project management. He's running jobs. He's doubled in size. He's 2-point-something million with a 13% net profit for the year, right? And working, I won't say he's down to 40 hours because I doubt that's true, but he's working a more normal week, right? And he's thinking about hiring a project manager and thinking about what his next step is as he carries on his journey of not working so much, not feeling so obliged to work so much. So he's happy too. So real people do it. Real people get results if they do it, if they do the work. I'm going to show you the system I teach that helps people get these results. It's called Business for Tradies, and this framework is called the Proper Business Plan. It's also called the Triangle Model. It's pretty basic. I've been told I'm quite basic, which I am, but it's right, it works, right? And business is kind of basic really as well. My job is to help you do the business part better. You already know your trade, you don't need help there. You need to learn the business stuff, build the business systems and the business structure, so you get that nicer business that you want. So let's talk about the outcome. What's the outcome we're going for here? It's the revenue you want, right? I don't care if it's 1 million, 2 million, 3, 5 or 10 or 20, right? It's whatever revenue you want. It's a 10% net profit margin. It's a wage for you, a proper market wage. It's a 40-hour working week. It's holidays, and it's a good team in their jobs, kind of doing a good job and enjoying work as well. So if that's the business you want to build, if that's the goal you want to work towards, this is a framework that will help you get there. This is a framework that will help you have more money, more time off, and more freedom, right? And freedom from work, from stress, from responsibility. Do you want that? I hope you do. I know this framework will help you get it. Now there are 3 pillars, right? There are 3 sides to the triangle. You've got to get the work in, obviously. You've got to get the work done, obviously. And you've got to look after the people, right? You're a trade business. Real people are out in the world doing real work, and you need them to perform well, or bad things are going to happen. You're going to be unhappy. So you need to look after your people as well. To get the work in, you first need to find it. And then once you've found it, you need to win it. To find it, you need to build a marketing machine that kind of brings work in, brings leads in, in a steady flow, right? The right type of work, a steady flow of them, and importantly, it kind of works all the time. You don't want to go, oh no, we've got no work, and try and turn your marketing machine on. It needs to be turned on, producing inquiries all the time. To win it, you need to build a sales machine. Not too shocking, I expect, right? That needs to win jobs, it needs to turn those leads or those inquiries or those opportunities into jobs, into work, consistently, professionally, with discipline, making sure the people understand the value you bring, and importantly, at the good margins that we need. Here's a quick story. Lawson and Toby went for scrambling for work and feeling very anxious about having enough work to feed their hungry business. Right? And after a period of investing really hard and doubling down on relationship marketing and relationship sales, they've got busy, right? They're now busy again. They've got work booked out for 2 or 3 years ahead. They're in construction and they're feeling a lot better. They built systems, they stayed the course, they invested in that work, and it's paid off. Now, to get the work done, you need to do it and you need to get paid for it, right? So to do it, you need to build an operations machine so that your people, your team, can do the work on time and on budget to standard, right? And maintain those margins that you thought you were getting when you did your quotes, but without so much involvement from you, right? You can still be involved, but you can't be everywhere all at once. There's only one of you. And to get paid, you need to build a back office machine that does the admin, that raises the invoices and collects the money and counts the money and makes sure you understand your money, like I mentioned before, right? And also make sure you're compliant with all the rules, because that's important too. You get in trouble if you don't do that. Manages cash flow, pays your GST, pays your tax, pays everybody, all those things. Importantly, in that back office, I don't really think you should be too involved in it, right? You need to be well lifted out of that. And here's a story. This is Ben. Ben has an air conditioning business. He had a reasonably sized team, but he was very stuck in the guts of things. He was on the tools, he was in the office, he was doing the invoicing, he was doing the admin. So he grew his team. He's got a VA, he's got an office manager, he's delegated a lot of the operational day-to-day work of his business to other people, and he's lifted himself out of that to build systems, right, to get a job management system, and to spend his time finding new builders and investing in marketing to get retail work and managing his new salesperson. And he's grown, he's doubled his business from 1 to 2 mil, maintaining his profit as well. If Ben can do it, you can do it. Now, to look after your people, there's two sorts. There's two lots of people you have to look after. You have to manage yourself and you have to manage your team. You have to manage yourself so you perform well, and you have to manage your team so they perform well. And for yourself, you need to make sure you've got time off the tools to work on your business. You need to make sure you focus on the right stuff. You need to delegate work away from you so you can free yourself up to do these new things, right? It's no use being too busy to do everything. That's no good, that won't help you. So you need to make time, you need to clear your decks a bit to do this work. And to manage your team, you need to hire good ones in the first place, which I know sounds obvious, but is more difficult than you might expect. You need to lead them well, so they want to help. You need to manage them well, so they know what to do. And then if they're doing it, and you need to set a great culture, so they stick around. Here's another quick story about Troy. He's a builder, and he was doing what I just described, working really hard himself, doing everything himself. He was hiring people, but he had quite high turnover because he was too busy and stressed to support them properly. He hadn't built the systems and the structure to support them as well as he might. So he was really busy, working really long hours, and his team was stressed and anxious and cycling through faster than he liked. And what he's done is he's started to offload more admin. He's got more admin resource in. He's hired more people and tried to commit more of his time to supporting them. He's stopped doing so much himself. He's offloaded the drafting to somebody, and he's hired a QS overseas, a virtual assistant, to do his estimating for him. And he's just spent the last 2 months investing in her and training her so that he truly can properly delegate that large part of where his time goes to her. His journey's not over yet. She's still quite new, but it's changing the way he looks at his job. It's changing how he operates himself, and he's even hoping to get Sundays back quite soon. So that's the system, right? That's the framework and the system we use. Getting work in with marketing and sales, getting work done with operations and the back office, and looking after those very important people so you and your team perform well and give you those results that you want. That's the system, that's the structure, that's your job. It works if you do it. It's not complicated or difficult either, is it? It's just different from what you've been doing up until now. I'll recap those stories after all. That's what I'm selling, right? I'm selling that you can get the results that those guys got. There's Tom, the builder, who got 400k net profit in 12 months. There's Tyson, a carpenter builder, who had his first ever 500k month with a 10% profit, so a $50,000 net profit on top of his wage. There's Lawson and Toby, busy again, feeding their 26 people with enough work. There's Ben, who doubled his business. There's Eddie, who went from losing money to making 50k in a single month. There's Troy, who can breathe again and might soon have a weekend off. You might notice there's nobody in a helicopter, or lying on a beach counting their cash, or just buying a new yacht. People are getting more money, more time, and more freedom, but in a kind of a realistic way. So I'm not selling that fantasy. I'm selling you'll make more money, you'll make fair, reasonable money, you'll work like a normal person, you'll be normally free from stress and responsibility, okay? I'm sure if you keep going longer, you can get the joy. But at the moment, that's what I'm selling. These are real people, real tradies, real builders, just like you, getting realistic results. Now here's your next step if you want to take it. If you want to see if it's for you, book a money call. It's a 10-minute call where you and I will talk on the phone and see if we think I can help you. I'll tell you if I think I can help you, and we'll decide, and you get to agree or not. Right? If you agree, we'll take the next step, which is another meeting. Of course, it's can I help you make more money, right? It's a money call. We start with the money because the money is what helps you build these teams and invest in systems and people so you can have that nice business that you want. So we do focus quite hard on the money. It's safe, it's simple, there's no pressure, that's not really my style. Do you want to book that call? There's a button just below. I'll talk to you soon.